Okay, what's up, peeps? I thought I'd get up early this morning and just make me a video and before I get my day started. I wanted to touch on contracts. Go to the basics of contracts because there are a lot of people still not understanding that you're not in a contract unless there's an agreement between you and the other party, acting as if you are contracted with them. There must be a contract in order for there to be any type of obligations at all. Okay, the elements of a contract. I'm looking at Black's Law Dictionary, second edition. I don't really need this because I already pretty much know this stuff by heart. The different types of contracts, what they call, like they have on here is mentioning an implied contract. It's not created or evidenced by an explicit agreement of parties, but inferred by the law. And it says, as a matter of reason and justice from their acts or conduct, the circumstances surrounding the transaction, making it a reasonable and even necessary assumption that a contract exists between them by tacit understanding. But there's no actual agreement. That's an implied contract. That's probably what most people are talking about when they're saying, if you sign a birth certificate, you automatically locked in for child support. No, that's not a contract. There's no agreement there. I'm going to tell you what is an implied contract is when you give them check stubs. You giving them check stubs when they want a financial affidavit in order to establish paternity in a court case. They need you to not file any type of objection, no answer into that court case. Objecting to the processes and whatever it is, however you choose to object, you need to file an answer into that court case, rebutting any presumptions that they're implying that you're agreeing to. Number two, if you're giving check stubs into that court case, the straw man is written on those check stubs. You're implying that you are acting as that straw man, and you're receiving income. That's a commercial term. Okay, you're operating as one. You're creating implied contracts when you're doing that. Social Security numbers. They ask for the Social Security number, and you give that to them. You're implying. You're creating an implied contract with your acts based on this definition. You're acting as a straw man. You don't have a Social Security number. No living man or woman has a Social Security number. Only entities have numbers attached to them. But when you give that Social Security number, you're giving it to them as you're acting as the straw man. Notice on the Social Security card, it has the name in all capitalized letters. I've talked about the presumption of death. Y'all already know about that. So you're acting as a legal fiction, an artificial person. Artificial persons don't have rights. Natural people do. Natural persons, as they call them in commercial language, it still refers to as a human being if you look it up. And anyway, but there has to be an intention of being a contract. It has to be full intention, full disclosure. Full disclosure is when all parties connected to that contract, they clearly understand exactly what they're signing up for. They understand the terms and what the obligations and restrictions, everything, the full terms of the contract. All parties signing on to this contract must have clear understanding. That's called a meeting of the minds. So, and there's also as another thing, it can't be with a corporation. Two corporations can do contracts. A living man can't do a contract with a corporation. A corporation can't do a contract with a living man. So anytime if they got you in court, keep in mind, a court's are banks, okay? By definition, a court is a bank. Let me see if I can find that real quick. I'm going to pause this. Right here. A bench or seat. The bench of justice. They say the bench of justice. I'm trying to read this through the cell phone. The bench or tribunal occupied by the judges. The seat of judgment. A court. Okay? Banks are courts. Now, with that being said, they're there to conduct business. So anytime you're in court, you should already know that the name in all caps is on that docket as an entity. It's an artificial person. And that's the name that you'll be using to conduct business in the courtroom. Okay, that's what it's supposed to be doing. But you, as the living man, are supposed to communicate through that straw man. But you're supposed to state who you are in relationship to that straw man in your paperwork. That is the special appearance. Okay. So that there's no implication, there's no implied agreement that you're operating as a straw man. You're operating as the living man who's moving the straw man, who's doing business on behalf of that straw man, okay? But you're not acting as the straw man. But bottom line is that's how contracts operate. The contract must operate where both the legal entities, those fictions, those entities they must be in some type of agreement before there's any type of contractual obligations. You know, it can't be an obligation if there's not a meeting of the mind between the representatives of those two entities creating some type of contractual agreement. Whether it's written, whether it's verbal, or, you know, implied. Sometimes a lot of these things are implied that take place in these courts because there's no rebuttal filed into the court case to the contrary. That's why it's vital that you put evidence into your court case to prove your court case, to prove your standing, prove who you are in relationship to that name, so that there are no presumptions operating in that courtroom for that particular case concerning you and that name and the connection between you and that name. And that's pretty much that. I think that's the best way I can explain that. So understanding contract law, it's the same thing you're doing when you go to a regular bank. You want to open up a bank account and you want to put some money in there, just the regular way you do it. They ask you for the name, the social security number, all the different, they connect that, they use that information to create an account, court case number. And you're signing on behalf of that straw man, that name in all caps, just like you may get a bank account, which for your LLC, that's an entity, but you had to sign on behalf of that entity. You had to sign a document confirming that, you're trying to create a contractual agreement, relationship with that bank. So it's the same thing. It could be for your LLC. If you're getting a trust account, you're doing it at a bank. Same thing same way you operate when it comes to at a regular bank. You need to be doing the same thing in a court case. The only difference is when they're trying to bring a charge against that name, you still have to specify when you sign a document, whether you're in a regular bank or in court, you need to be writing on. You need to be putting a comma and putting who you are after you put your name down there. After you put your autograph there, you need to put a comma and state who you are in relationship to that name, so that there is no implications that you're operating in any specific position other than what that title is you put after your name. Okay, so that's why a lot of times I used to say y'all put authorized representative, grantor, beneficiary, whatever title you choose to put, depending on what you're doing. It's best for you to put a title there. That's why you see even you go to managers, at stores who are signing documents on behalf of whatever. Even if you got the Secretary of State, when they're signing something, they always put under there, that's the Secretary of State, because there's something in there after that name or under the line that they're signing that states that that's the Secretary of State, and they're signing the name. So they're signing in that commercial capacity. And that's what these titles are. They're commercial capacities. Of course, you never see nobody sign their name and then they put living man, because that's not a commercial title. You're stating who you are in relationship to that name. That creates a clear understanding, a meeting of the minds as to who you are, who you're operating as when you're writing it, when you're signing that name, for that straw man. And you must answer these things. That's how you create contractual agreements. That's how you clear any type of misconceptions, any type of implied, understandings between, you know, for the people that are actually reading your document, whoever's receiving your document. I think I kind of got off a little bit, but I was really just kind of talking about how helping people understand about when it comes to contracts. You don't automatically be in a contract because you sign a birth certificate. You know, the thing is, there's one thing I gotta admit, when I signed my son's certificate of live birth, I signed it with UCC 1-308. Don't know if that really mattered or not, but I did that. You know, I didn't put grantor. I didn't do that. I should have. I could have. You know, I didn't. But I'm just telling you what I did. But I did that. But don't really. Bottom line is that was a paternity acknowledgement form. It's just that I'm acknowledging that child. I'm the father of that child. That's all that is. It doesn't automatically mean, oh, I agree to be on child support. That is not what the fuck that means, okay? That's why they need to bring you in court automatically. They got to build a case and drag you in court with that straw man to try to establish paternity through court and try to get you, you know, the financial affidavits and all. They go through the whole process to get those court cases established because I never agreed to it. You know, I didn't agree to that. If I agreed to it, then from the moment I left that hospital, I'd have been on child support. You know, I would have gotten some kind of document saying I got to pay this, I got to pay that. But they go through the process because that is not a damn contract. So stop letting people think. Stop getting people, allowing people to manipulate you to thinking that because your name is on a certificate of live birth of your offspring, mean automatically you agree to be on child support. Because that's not how that works. Contract law requires all parties to have clear indications, clear consent that they're, you know, first intention that you're actually trying to go into a contractual agreement, then clear understanding, a meeting of the mind of the terms of the contract. It has to be equal consideration for it to be a valid enforceable contract. And what else? And like I said, it has to be an entity with an entity, or a living man and with a living man. They have to be the living contracting with the living, fiction contracting with the fiction. They cannot contract with each other like that. That's why you can clear your credit so easy, because these entities, when you go and apply for something, nobody you ever apply for something, the representative never signs shit. You're the only one doing all the signing. And so you're signing on behalf of your straw man, but they never sign on behalf of the company that they work for. It's a one-sided deal. You know, it's a one-sided, it's never a contractual agreement where both parties actually sign. But anyway, that's another conversation. But living has to be with living, fiction has to be with fiction, you know. So hopefully I clear any misunderstandings up when it comes to contract law. This goes a little much deeper than this, but I just thought I'd kind of go back to the basics so you can understand exactly how contract law works. One other thing, if you ever forced into signing the contract, and this can happen to anybody, okay? You can be on the side of the road, you know, you could assign something, you know, they like, if you don't sign this here, then this is going to happen. You know, we can't do this if this don't, you know, you got to sign this. And you force in any type of way, or you're under duress to sign something, you know, say, oh, we're going to lock you up if you don't, you know, or you can't get out of jail, you know, unless you sign this agreement. You sign it V.C. That's called V coactus. V coactus. That's a Latin term that means having been coerced. And y'all know I like to show y'all proof of what I'm saying anytime I say something. So I'm going to go and do that. V coactus. V.C. V.C. Legal definition. That's all you got to do is type that in your Google search and you'll see it. You'll see what it means. But I'm going to show you just to kill the time. Here we go. V coactus. That's what you do right there. Say use with a signature to indicate that the signer was under duress. The signer uses such marking to signal that the agreement was made under duress, and that it is their belief that it invalidates their signature. That's Wikipedia, of course, but hold on a second. As you see, I can type in V coactus OCGA. That's the Georgia code. As you can see, They got duress on here. Just by typing it in, that's how I found this code. Let's read that. I'm doing this with the cell phone too, so I'm holding the cell phone and reading at the same time. Say, since the free assent of the parties is essential to a valid contract, duress, either by imprisonment, threats, or other acts by which the free will of a party is restrained and his consent induced, renders the contract voidable at the election of the injured party. Legal imprisonment, if not used illegal for illegal purposes, does not constitute duress. But here it is. You see it for yourself. If somebody try to threaten you to sign something, you can put vico actus on it. It actually means it's a Latin term. It means having done under duress. They know what it means. That's why I put OCGA. That's the Georgia code. So it does not render otherwise a valid contract made under duress void, but merely voidable at the instant of an injured party. Let's see. Undue influence which overturns. Let's see. Anyway, I'm just kind of reading some stuff now, but let me get on back. But I just had to make that video. I had to make this video to help y'all understand that a contract has to have your consent. Everybody's consent involved in the contract. Everybody in that contract must consent. They have to have full disclosure. You might want to put in full disclosure. Hold on a second. Here it is. Full disclosure right here. It says, as a general rule in a business transaction, for example, in a real estate transaction, full disclosure refers to the obligation which requires both parties to disclose the whole truth regarding any sufficient aspects of a business transaction. So it can't be no hidden disagreement, no implication in front, like this is what it means when you do this here. It automatically means that. That's not contract law. A valid contract requires all parties to understand clearly what it is that's going on, what the terms of a contract means. And they both have to have free will to sign on behalf of that. To sign on this. I signed for that. This is what I agreed to. I clearly understand that. That's why you have terms of service and stuff like that. You click the box online. When you click that box, now you can move forward because you just the clicking of that box, you agree for them to, like most of the time when you download the app. You don't sign for it, but you clicked on it in order for them to, access certain parts of your cell phone. That's terms of service. In order to use this app, we got to be able to have this type of access to your phone. You click that box, you click continue. You just did an agreement. You just agreed to that because you say, I agree to the terms of service or whatever. You click that box and hit, that's agreement, contract. You didn't sign it, but you clicked it. So that's another, y'all get the point. But I thought I'd make this video. Hopefully I made it very clear. I gave you some meat and potatoes you can actually use, you can actually eat on. So hopefully you can use that, and I'll see y'all in the next video. Hopefully y'all already hit the like button. Y'all already subscribed. If not, please do so right now. Look out for your boy. And I'll see y'all in the next video. Emeralds signing out.